So in 2020, I became a dad. I'm a parent. Me and my wife had our first kid, 2020, February. Reese, he was born. It was the greatest day of my life, one of the greatest days. Then 3 years later, Remy was born, 2023, another one of the greatest days of my life. And I remember making a promise with myself, and I want you to do this in your household, because I believe the household holds all the energy. Is the vibe of their future. It's the vibe of how they walk into school. It's the vibe how they walk out into the world. You control that vibe in your household. One thing I made sure, there's no shouting, there's no yelling. We're not going to yell. We're not going to scream. We're not going to get upset and raise our voice. That is not going to help any situation. Raising your voice does not fix the situation. All that does is just show someone, hey, when you get mad, you can start screaming and raising your voice. We're not going to do that. We're going to stay calm. Things are going to go wrong, right? There's always stress. There's make mistakes, whatever, right? They're going to go wrong. That's one thing we're not going to do. We're not going to yell. This is my advice. This is how the household is. We're not going to yell. We're calm, right? Things may be chaotic, but we're staying calm. Because if we stay calm through chaotic situations, my kids will learn to stay calm when things aren't going their way. And that's the point. That's what I want. Right? Things aren't going to go your way. But if you don't stay calm and you start to shout and you start to get angry, you're not going to be able to think clear. You're not going to be able to move through, right? And everyone does have their breaking point, but we're working on it, right? And we're going to work on it. We're going to teach that through how we act, right? We can't say one thing and then act a different way. The other thing is when you have young children, they make mistakes. They drop things. Things spill. Maybe you made them a whole perfect dinner and they knocked it over by accident. They stood up, they moved, whatever, right? They make mistakes. They're little kids. They're 2, they're 3, they're 4, they're 5, they're 6. They're young, right? So, for example, my wife made, a great dinner. It looked great. There was vegetables, there was fruit, it was meat. It was great. And he knocked it over, right? It fell on the floor. It's all gone. All right. I said, Reese, it's okay. It's an accident. And I gave him a high five, right? Gave him a hug. Don't worry about it. And we made him a new plate, right? But you can't start screaming. You can't start yelling there. It's not worth it, number one. And it's not a good example to show in that moment. And that's where you got to stay calm, right? That's where, as a parent, you got to say, hey, look at the situation. And it takes practice, and it takes being present, and it takes understanding. Hey, my son's 6, my son's 5, my son's 3, right? It was an accident. It wasn't intentional. He's not trying to do that. It was 100% innocent. Kids are amazing. They're amazing because they have this curiosity. They ask questions. Their brains are developing. I watch my kids. I watch them learn. I watch them think. I watch them ask questions. I watch them move through life. I watch them laugh, giggle, smile. I think it's amazing. And I embrace that. And, they say this thing, you can't be your kid's friend. Reese is my best friend. Remy's my best friend. My whole family's my best friend. And we're friends, right? Yeah, I'm their dad. They know that. But I'm also their greatest friend. They're my greatest friend. We're family, right? And then they know that. And then you should build that relationship with your kids immediately, right? Another thing that I think that's really important is your kids are going to ask you a lot of questions, right? They're going to ask you a lot of questions. They're going to ask you questions and questions and questions and questions. Look them in the eye and answer every question. Never feel annoyed. Never act like you're annoyed. Never brush them off. Don't ignore them. Don't respond nasty. Even though whatever's going on, right? They're kids. They don't know that you're stressed. They don't understand stress. They don't worry about the mortgage. They don't worry about the grocery, but that's not their problem, right? That's on us. That's our job to figure that out, right? We're here for them. We're gonna figure that. We're gonna be okay. We're gonna work on that. But we're not gonna allow that stress to pour into us, to pour into them. That's not fair. We don't do that. So my son, my daughter, they ask me so many questions, right? And whatever I'm doing, I don't care how important it is. It's not more important than giving my kids attention 100%, right? Same thing for you. Give your kids 100. They are the most important, precious things in your life. When they're asking you a question, or they're trying to talk to you, or they're just asking you about life, and maybe they've asked you 1,000 times, look them in the eye and tell them, and elaborate on them. Then ask them a question. I believe the mornings are so important. positive mornings. Always make the morning a positive moment, a positive environment, because that's the morning before school, before camp, before sports, before anything that's coming their way. And it's scary going out into the world. It's scary going out in the world and making new friends, starting new schools, going to sports, camps, whatever it is. It's scary, right? They don't know. We're just bringing them. We're showing them. We're just saying, hey, here you go, right? They might not know how to tell us that. So make the mornings as positive as possible. For an example, when I get up early, if you get up early, your kids wake up. When they wake up, make it the biggest deal they ever woke up. Make it so exciting. Every time you see them, every time my daughter wakes up, she's usually the first one up, I go, Remy! And I hug her and I say, I missed you so much. I'm so happy you're awake. Are you ready for the day? And she gives me a big hug and smiles. She says, yes, Daddy. And I start dancing with her and we're dancing. I'm just so happy she's up. And I want her to know that. I want her to be excited. And then Reese will wake up. And I'll say, Reese, I can't believe how much I missed you, dude. I'm so happy you're up. I can't wait to just see you every time you go to sleep. I want you to wake up and I want to see you. And he just starts laughing. And he's like, Daddy, I was just with you. But he just gives me a hug and he smiles and he laughs. And he has 2 hours before he's got to go to school. So then we're hanging out. Sometimes I'll work out outside. I'll say, Reese, come work out with me. He'll eat a cereal outside with me. And we'll just hang out, right? He's a part of the morning. He's a part of the good vibe. He's a part of the environment. Remy's out there, part of the environment. I'm working out. Remy grabbed the guitar. I said, Remy, sing me a song while I'm working out. She's singing a song, right? She's not in my way. She's there. She's with me. That's what I want. I want them. That's the whole point. Be around this. That energy goes into them. And then they're going to go to school, right? And I got to run to work. I got to do things. I look at both of them and I say, Reese, you're going to have the greatest day ever. Give me a hug. But he gives me a hug, gives me a high five. I go over to Remy. Remy, same thing. You're going to have the most amazing, greatest day. I love you. Give her a hug, right? Give her a high five. Then I make a funny face and they start laughing. Sometimes my wife will be driving down the street and I'll chase the car and I'll act like I'm trying to chase the car. They're just cracking up, right? But I'm doing this because, number one, I love them, right? They're my life, and I want them to smile. I want them to be in a good mood. I want them to go into this world like, hey, like, this is great. Life is great. Everyone, my dad and mom are excited to see me as soon as I wake up. They're excited to see me when I go to bed. Like, this is unbelievable. Like, but it starts in the home, right? It starts here, and then it goes out. And this is not easy, right? You have to work on this. You have to think about it every second, right? We all have things going on in our life, but we have to choose to focus on the ones that are the most important in our life. Those are our children. We're teaching them how to be adults one day, right? How to handle things in their life, right? The way that I see them every morning, I want them to do the same thing with their kids. They're going to be my grandkids. I want them to keep the same vibe. They're going to remember that. Reese wanted to learn how to ride a bike, and I was on my computer and I was working. I had things going on. I have so much to do. And Reese goes, Daddy, I want to learn how to ride a bike. You know what I did? I shut my laptop and we went and we learned how to ride a bike, right? And I can always go back to that. I can always go back to the job, the work, but I can't go back to these moments. And treat every moment like that, not just the bike moment, but every moment. And I'm telling you, this is just how I've done it. And I think it's so important. So the other thing I think is super important is bedtime, right? Doing bedtime, having a positive, awesome experience for bedtime, just being positive. And I know, listen, this is just my advice. I wouldn't say I'm a strict parent. Like, I want to spend so much time with my kids that, I don't have a bedtime for my kids. They're not up late. Because they fall asleep. They're kids. They're not gonna stay up late. Remy falls asleep at 6:30, sometimes 7 o'clock, 7:30. If she's laying in bed, she's falling asleep, right? But I'm not like, hey, get in your room, right? It's time for bed. No. I don't think that's the way. I really don't. This is just coming from me, but take it from me. I think the way to do it is I want like last night the Knicks were on, right? And I remember being a little kid, and my dad was a great dad, and my dad would order boxing fights and he would watch basketball games like the Knicks, right? But I would always have to go to bed, and I always wanted to be with my dad. Like, I wanted to watch the game with him. I wanted to be there. His friends would come over sometimes too. I wanted to be there, but I was on this bedtime, regimen where I had to go to bed, and I felt bad, and I remember that. So like last night I was like, Reese, you want to watch the Knicks game with me and Grandpa? Grandpa came over, he put the Knicks game on. Reese stayed up a little bit later, but we hung out. And every night before I would go to bed, I lay with Reese and we talk. I ask him about his day. Sometimes we play catch. We do things like that. We go for bike rides. We go for walks. Me and Reese will just go for a walk. We walk around. We take the garbage out. Even when I lock the doors, if I lock the door, I say, Reese, we got to lock up. Come with me. We'll lock all the doors. We'll check them, right? If I'm doing work, another thing, I was trying to hang a TV on the mount, right? And it's when you're trying to do things, you got tools everywhere. You know, Reese wants to touch it. Remy wants to touch all the tools. They're messing things up. They're losing all the nails and the screws. Everything's getting lost, right? Whatever. You can get upset, right? It's you're like stressed out, right? Or you could just be like, you know what? Remy's 3, Reese is 6. They're involved. They're with their dad. Like, let's make them a part of it. So, like, Remy, you hold this screwdriver. Reese, you hold this one. Make sure you're ready to go. I help Reese twist all the things in for me. He knows how to screw all the screwdriver stuff in. Like, he's a part of it. I made him a part of it, right? You can do two things. You can make your kids a part of your life, right? Or you can just kind of push them to the side. And I think the way to do it is to make them a part of every moment of your life. And these are just things that are super important to them, but super important for the future of their self-worth and how they feel about themselves. And I want you to incorporate this every day. And every day you got to work on it. Every morning. This is something you do every single day. Something else that I do is when, you know, the kids are acting up or doing something we don't want them to do. Instead of me, like, yelling at them, I go, Remy, come here. Come here, Rem. I go, look at me, Rem. And she'll not want to look at me. She'll put her head down. She'll get all mad with me. But I'll be like, Remy. And I look at her and I'm like, Remy, you know Daddy loves you, right? And Daddy just doesn't want you to get hurt because I love you so much. And I'll dance with her, right? And I'll say, please don't do that. Like whether she's jumping off the couch or anything that she shouldn't be doing. I just don't want her to get hurt, right? But I don't scream. Even though she's done it 100 times and hasn't listened, right? She's still 3. She's not going to listen. She's not going to be reasonable. She's not regulating her emotions yet, right? She's 3. She doesn't know. She gets upset over, she wants a cheese stick. And then if I take the cheese stick out of the wrapper before she did, she doesn't like it, right? She's 3. It's okay. You know what I do? I'll eat the cheese stick and I'll give her a new cheese stick the way she wants it, right? And that's the way we do it. Is that the way you like it, Rem? Okay, Rem. High five. Let's go. Let's go ride bikes, right? And we move on. But keep that in mind as a parent. But as a parent, our household is our energy bubble, right? And good times. One time my mom was like, Jordan, the kids are up late. They need a bedtime, right? And it wasn't that late. It was like 8:30. But they go to bed. They don't stay up late. My mom's like, Jordan, and I'm very close to my mom. I love my mom. I've been listening to my mom my whole life, right? My mom's like, Jordan, and this is all like, you know, we have a great relationship. My mom's like, Jordan, these kids need a bedtime. And I said, Mom, bedtimes or good times? Which one are you going to choose? And she started laughing, right? But I think it's true, right? We're going to have a good time. I mean, we were going to have a good time. Sometimes me and Reese stay up late, a little bit later. Like the other night we were watching Rookie of the Year. He likes that show. He was excited. He was telling me all about it. You know, these are memories. These are good times we can't get back. But keep that vibe in your house. Keep the energy positive. Let your kids be a part of your life. No yelling, no shouting, no negative energy, no coming in the house stressful and angry about your day. Walk in the house when you come home from work. Walk in and just start cheering. When I walk in my front door and I see Reese in the upstairs, like we have a little split level. When I walk in the front door, I immediately put my arms in there. I'm like, Reese. And I give him a hug, right? I'm like, how was school? He's like, good. And I give him a high five and we check his little watch, see how many steps he had, right? And I just make it all about him. And then when I see Remy, she shows me all her projects. She comes home from school. I said, Remy, show me what you made. And she sits right here and she tells me everything she made, all her projects, everything she did, right? These are all little things that I try to do. And then at night, you know, that's when they ask questions and that's when I listen. That's when I want to answer. I don't want them on a pad. I don't want them, if we're watching a show together as a family, right? But I want to talk to them. I want to know what's in their mind. I want to talk about life. I want to go for walks. I want to look at bugs. I want to feed the deer, right? We do those things. And then this all happens every day. And along the way, what you're doing is you're building this family unit on top of creating these humans, these amazing humans, to go into the world with that type of positive energy, like just so excited for the day and the world and life. And that's what life's all about. So be just as excited for your kids as you were Christmas morning when you were 5 years old, 6 years old. Be just as excited every day for them, the same way you were excited. Remember that feeling. One last thing that I leave you with, right? This is their childhood. This is their childhood. That always helps me. Like, this is their childhood. This is their magic. This is everything. This is everything. Think about your childhood, right? Whatever happened. But think about it. You know it, right? That was your childhood. You only get one chance to have this childhood. And for you listening and for me, I'm going to give my kids the greatest childhood ever. The greatest. Every moment will be special. Every second will be amazing. And I want that for every kid in the world. So if you're watching this video, please take what I put into this video and use it in your household. One last thing. Last one. Do this. Every time you walk by your kids, every time, give them a hug. Give them a kiss. Give them a high five. Give them a fist pump. Ask them what's up. Give them a little rub on the head, right? Whatever. Tell a little joke. Give a little poke. Whatever it is. Whatever you want to do that makes them laugh, right? Pretend you stole their nose. Never just walk by them. Acknowledge them. See them. Just acknowledge every moment of their life. Every time you walk by. And that makes a huge difference in your life, and their life, and the future of lives to come. Thank you guys for watching this video. I'm going to post more videos like this on my YouTube channel, so I hope you guys can watch it and use it in your household. And I'll give you more things that I'm still learning too. I'm trying to figure them out, but that's the way, I'm doing it. And I hope we can work this together and we can do this all over the world, and I can put this out here and we can really work on this. So thank you guys so much. Remember, your greatest gift is your household. You control that energy. You can control that vibe. Control those moments. Control yourself. And remember, this is their childhood. Make it the most special moments of their lives. This is it. We get one chance to do that. Let's do it.